In the harsh and unforgiving winter of 1812, a small Alaskan mining camp nestled deep within the icy wilderness was plagued by a terrifying presence that would forever haunt the nightmares of those who survived it. Rumors had circulated for weeks about a monstrous entity prowling the surrounding woods, but no one took them seriously. The miners dismissed these tales as mere figments of overactive imaginations, blaming them on cabin fever and the isolation that gripped their isolated encampment. But then the terror became undeniable. It started with whispers around the campfire, the gnawing fear in the pit of their stomachs as the sun set, and the oppressive sense of being watched. The miners couldn't ignore the eerie, guttural sounds emanating from the forest anymore, or the shuffling, almost human-like footsteps that echoed in the darkest hours of the night. Frightened eyes met each morning, their faces drawn with sleepless nights and fear's gnawing grip. The miners began to gather their stories, tales of a monstrous hybrid, a grotesque amalgamation of man and beast known as the Goatman. Those who claimed to have seen it described a creature with the legs of a goat, a human torso, and a monstrous, misshapen head crowned with twisted, curling horns. Its eyes, they said, glowed with an otherworldly, malevolent light. Still, most in the camp remained skeptical, considering the sightings mere madness. They laughed at those who spoke of the Goatman, accusing them of losing their sanity in the frigid wilderness. But as the days grew shorter, and the encampment found itself encased in a frosty tomb, they couldn't ignore the fear gnawing at their hearts any longer. One fateful night, as a bitter chill settled over the camp, the Goatman emerged from the shadows. Its infernal eyes glowed like embers in the darkness, and a guttural growl rumbled from its grotesque throat. Its very presence was a manifestation of terror, and a collective gasp of fear swept through the camp. The entity descended upon them like a nightmare made flesh, slaughtering all in its path with unnerving savagery. Its long, bony fingers reached out, each touch condemning its victims to a gruesome death. The Goatman's eyes, devoid of mercy, burned into the souls of its victims as it ripped them apart, limb from limb. Blood stained the pristine white of the Alaskan snow, and the once coveted gold of the mining camp was now a gory testament to the horrors that unfolded that night. The Goatman spared no one, leaving no survivors to bear witness to its malevolence. As the sun rose on the massacre, the snow-covered landscape was a chilling tableau of death. The encampment was left in ruins, its structures now silent and lifeless. The Goatman had vanished into the wilderness, leaving only the anguished cries of the slain as a reminder of its monstrous existence. The tales of the Goatman's reign of terror would be told for generations, a cautionary tale of the horrors that lurked in the shadows of the Alaskan wilderness. Those who had once scoffed at the stories were now haunted by their skepticism, forever tormented by the nightmarish reality that had descended upon them. The entity, it was said, had escaped from hell itself, a malevolent force that had found its way to the encampment, leaving nothing but death and terror in its wake.